Now more than ever, babies born with Down syndrome have the opportunity to live long, happy, and productive lives. Life expectancy for folks with Down syndrome has increased dramatically in recent decades. People with Down syndrome are members of the community in which they live and share their gifts and make positive contributions in society every day. The accomplishments and successes of adults with Down syndrome sends a clear message of hope to children also living with Down syndrome. The fact of the matter is, we need to make sure that we protect these individuals who have been diagnosed with Down syndrome from not being aborted, to not be able to have existence, to not be able to enjoy life like every other person who is born. It is an important existential question that we each face. Last year, at a press event, we also had Karen Gaffney, who had received an honorary PhD, as our keynote speaker. And here's a very important point that she brought up, and it's much more eloquent than I could ever state. Those of us with Down syndrome and our families face a very difficult future. We face a possibility of wiping out all of the tremendous progress we have made. Just as we are making so much progress, a whole industry has grown up focused on prenatal screening that would end our lives before we take our first breath. Now that you can test for Down syndrome before birth, there are many experts in the medical community that say this extra chromosome we carry around is not compatible with life. And I was there when she said this, and it had this emphasis, not compatible with life. After everything we have done, I would say we are more than compatible. We are what life is all about, and our lives are worth living, and our lives are worth learning about. This is an existential question put forth before policymakers. Who gets to decide what is a good life? I would also intimate to many of you that the founders of the Special Olympics, Eunice and Sergeant Shriver, longtime Democrats, were amongst others who intimated that American society had to relook at what it was doing with abortion, and that it was taking away the dignity from so many folks that never got to have a life. In Pennsylvania, in the Abortion Control Act to date, there's a prohibition that you cannot have an abortion based on sex selection. The Down Syndrome Protection Act recognizes the equal rights of these individuals who are to be born with or are already born with Down syndrome. And it wants to protect the existence of these individuals so that they too can have meaningful lives just like you and me.